Hey guys, Mutantcowboy here. I came across some tweets from Frederick that I think you guys might be interested in. Now, the first one, not really too shocking. I think many of you probably already know this, but basically, he's just reiterating that skill mods have no requirements anymore, and basically they just do far less. So most of the skill output comes from scaling with skill tier. Basically saying that any of the skill mods that you have, whether they're 3,000 skill power or 100 skill power, that doesn't exist anymore. So all skill mods generally give a similar standardized buff regardless of what they were before. Now I'm sure there's going to be some variation there between, different mods. Obviously there's going to probably be a roll range of some kind, but it's not going to be extreme like we saw with the skill power system. Alright, moving on to something that I think probably affects a lot more players, and that is the weapons and kind of how they're going to be changing. So weapons will only have one active talent now. The rest of the properties are different attributes with roll bars. A few exotics have 2 talents still, if they need it for them to function. And he went on to clarify that they will have 1 talent. The passive talent is replaced by a new stat roll that can do the things that passives used to do. And that includes magazine size, RPM, etc. Or grant bonuses otherwise restricted to other guns like headshot damage on an AR. Obviously in the current system we've got, the 3 talent slots. The holstered talent is being removed. There's no longer going to be a holstered talent on weapons. Whether or not an exotic has a special holstered talent or not is yet to be seen, but holstered talents in general are being removed. So that one talent that's remaining is basically going to be that talent that everyone tried to get on their gear, that really important talent that you wanted to build around. And, obviously the second talent was something that was nice, and then the holster talent was just something that was there unless it was exotic. So just to clarify what that means, you're going to have your one active talent, something like an LMG with unhinged, and then your passive talent, which would have normally been, something like Allegro, will gain a new stat bar. And that'll be something like magazine size or RPM, with their own stat range on it. Or it could also be something that's, a different kind of bonus, like headshot damage or something like that you couldn't normally get on an AR, for example. And if we move on to the next tweet, he was basically asked how the damage is going to roll on weapons now. If it's going to be God roll or, what, depending on the level. What he said was that all the weapons are going to have a flat base damage. So if you have an M16, it's going to be that damage at that level. But it's also going to include a new weapon damage percentage roll. So basically that's going to be another bar that further dictates how your damage is actually looking. So you're going to know exactly what the base damage of that weapon is, but then you're going to have an additional stat that shows you how much it's getting boosted by that roll. And that roll will be able to be changed and recalibrated, whatever you've got on there. So you can deconstruct that and save that roll if it's really high or whatnot, if that's what you want. Alright, and the last tweet that I saw that really interested me, and it kind of puts a little damper in what I thought I was going to do with some of these builds, and I'm just going to read this verbatim because I think it's important. I feel like it is the right time to point out, given that people feel like 15% rate of fire on Striker is a lot. The gear set pieces only have 1 stat roll instead of 2. That's the balance. It's not just the stat roll. It's to make sure that even with that 4-piece effect, it doesn't outpace a high-end build. What it loses in stat rolls, it makes up for in the set effect. This kind of worries me a little bit. This kind of concerns me. I mean, I understand that they're trying to make high ends and gear sets, kind of function in a more equal level. We had that huge problem with Division 1 where once you got gear sets, all the high-end gear basically kind of became useless except for, onesies or twosies. Especially when Classified came out and then no one was using high-end really. The problem that I'm having is that this kind of kills a lot of the build diversity because it's forcing you to use 4-piece sets. That strikes me as a little bit worrying. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. That'll do it for me. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.